two, hello. Check two. What's up, friends? Hello. It's me. It's Rob. It's your guy. It's your boy. Rob Rousseau. This is TRRS. Twitches only. 2D. Triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward system. It's the only one on this entire platform. Millions of people on this platform day in and day out. Day in and day out. Logging every moment of their lives.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Yay! Another month in the esteemed friendship triangle.
Thank you, Bark Eater, for the 14 months of Tier 1. Thank you very much. I would not call it a pyramid, no. Millions of people, folks, on this platform, day in, day out, documenting every facet of their lives. They're gaming, they're doing makeup, yoga, dancing, cosplay, they're just chatting, they're debating. What else are they doing? Hot tubs, you know? And God bless them. The point is, though, that there's millions of people on this platform doing all kinds of different things. There is only one two-dimensional, triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. There's only one program like that on this entire platform, and it's this one, TRRS. Thank you for joining the stream today. No slub till tub. People have been pressuring me to do a hot tub stream for what feels like years now. I just don't know if it's in the cards. I'm really not in a good position right now to be setting up a hot tub anywhere near where I am at. Like, I do have a tub in here where my computer is, my streaming computer. But it's just a average white tub. It's not big. It doesn't have jets. The Leninist political war tool hot tub tour. That's right. I think that'd be funnier just in a plain old white tub. I could have some kind of bubble bath situation, I guess. I guess I could do that. Maybe some kind of lighting or candles. Something. In theory, in this theoretical tub stream, which I don't think is close to ever happening. In theory, I suppose it would be possible. That's all I'm saying. I suppose it would be possible to figure out, but not that that's ever going to happen, of course. One sub, it was one scrub at the back with a hilariously oversized brush. Put on a shower cap or something. I don't know how many subs it would take to get there. I don't know. Maybe I would consider it after crossing 1,000 subs. Not like in a day, but overall. Which has never happened, and I don't think it's really in any danger of happening, which is why I feel confident setting that as a level. I'm sure I don't believe I'm ever going to be faced with that problem. I promised that I would do this if X happened. I think that's so unlikely that I'm safe to make that a number. A concrete number. What if I gave you my 1K tax return? I won't do this. So if I gift 500 subs right now, that would do it. I mean, I'm not going to, dude, I'm not going to say no to you or anyone else gifting 500 subs. I must say I would feel a little weird about it. I would feel a little conflicted about it. I'm not going to say no, but like, I know it's not like good business sense for me to say this to you, but like, don't do that, Dakadoon. You know, it's not like good. It's not a good idea for me as like someone that's trying to make a living in the independent media business to say this to you, but please don't do that. I won't. I'm on my phone. I don't want to give Google the money. Okay, that's good, Dakadoon. And that's the only reason. And that's the only reason why you're not doing it. What if you set up your first debate finally and you show up on screen for the debate and previously mentioned bathtub, shower cap, big brush? I could get if I convinced finally Pierre Polyev to come on the show. And that's how I showed up to my big moment in the sun. Pierre joins the Zoom call and you're bathing. That would certainly make a splash. If I were to do that. Huh? Huh? Excuse me. They go low and we take a bath.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Slubba dub dub.
Thank you, In Search of Slack, for the 15 months of Tier 1. Thank you for that. This is getting very exciting for the community, this prospect. Very, very exciting moment for the community when we discuss this. Hello, Praxid. Hello, howdy. And I guess I should say thank you as well to mysterious unknown user. 7 hours ago when I logged in today, I had a sub from a unknown user subscribed at Tier 1 7 hours ago. So thank you to mysterious unknown user for the Tier 1 sub as well. That's my CSIS agent. That's my CSIS agent. They're like, I've been listening to this shit long enough. I might as well just subscribe. Why not? He's struggling out there. This guy's struggling. We've already silenced and censored this guy in the algorithm. We've censored this guy. We've completely excluded him from having any kind of mainstream media platform in this country, despite having one of the largest social media platforms in the entire country of Canada. We've already done enough to silence this guy. I'll throw him a bone here. I'll throw him a little bone. That would actually be funny, like radicalizing your FBI agent or your CSIS agent or whatever it is, MI6 or Mossad or what have you. Radicalizing them. They got assigned to the Rob Rousseau beat. And then they're getting some kind of memo later on about North Korea. They're just like, this is bullshit. They get fired because they're like, some of the things this guy says make a lot of sense. All right? I had never thought about some of this stuff this way. All right? I'm asking myself all kinds of questions now about my career path. I've begun to think dialectically. Starts getting random Dagwood deliveries and edible arrangements. Has anyone ever had an edible arrangement? I've never had one. They do seem kind of tantalizing. Is it just like, how is it different from just like a one of those fruit things you buy with the strawberries and the pineapple and whatever? The grapes? How is it different from that? Is it really that much different? Is it just a big thing of fruit? They're on sticks. Okay. This is a presentation. Okay. It's a lot of food all at once. That's not a problem for me, baby. Big fruit enjoyer over here. I haven't had one, but I've been party to one. Pretty okay. The difference is really the presentation. All right. You put fruits on sticks like flowers, voila. Get the cookie version. That would not be good. That would not be good, though, for me, a cookie version. Bouquet of cookies and brownies. I mean, I'm sure I would enjoy that, but that'd be troubling. I'm starting to feel really bad about my weight. It's really hard not to. No. I don't think I'm super unhealthy. You know, my diet's not great, but it's not like that bad. I think mostly, like, you know, I look in the mirror and I'm pretty happy with what I see. You know, I'm almost 40 fucking years old. I think I'm doing okay. But it's just hard not to feel bad about my body. Happy birthday, Mondo Michel. Wonderful. Happy birthday. How old are you? Timo breakfast crunch wrap too often. I get too often than Tim Hortons farmer's wrap, which, you know, we give Tim Hortons a lot of flack for being like a central part of Canadians' like fake ad agency invented identity, cultural identity. That farmer's wrap, though, is very good. It's very good. 39, also pushing 40. Well, we're the same age. I'm in love with it. This is the community of geriatric millennials. That there's something that I really enjoy about that. Happy birthday to you, Mondo Michel. 40 stalking. I got 2 months left. Started working out like a madman. It's not helping with something I do. I know I just need to exercise a little bit more. I don't know if it would help my weight that much, but I just know I need to do it just for like my general physical and mental well-being. McDonald's was just open 5 minutes from my home. It's all downhill from there. I eat so much McDonald's. I guess I was talking about how my diet's not that bad, and really it's not, but I do eat McDonald's at least one time per week. So maybe it's not. Maybe my diet is not good if that's part of it. It's one of the things that I blame on having kids, you know. I just started to take my kid to McDonald's on Wednesdays, and he gets really into routines, so like pretty soon it's just like Wednesday is the day we get McDonald's, you know. That's just what happens. And you know, he's a really smart guy, but also has, I think, a hard time in school sometimes. He doesn't really like it, and I think it's hard for him to kind of get through the week. So you can take him on the midway through the week, you take him for a little treat. You know, I feel on that level as well. But I don't want to blame him for it. But that's how I get into the McDonald's routine. And that's not good. Hey, Oscar. Started lifting again. That's good. I'm just, yeah. It's hard to accept yourself for how you are, you know, especially when you're getting older. No McDonald's shaming. I know I think it's terrific. Sinjal. I genuinely enjoy it and genuinely look forward to it. Yeah, I am a big McDonald's fan. This would be a better conversation if you were eating a Big Mac instead of an apple. Yeah, my diet's not that bad. Just shoveling fries into my mouth. It's hard to accept your body the way it is, though, especially when you get older. You know? It's just hard. Of course I get a Diet Coke with a Big Mac every time. In fact, the fountain Diet Coke from McDonald's is one of my favorite things to get. That's one of my favorite things to get at the McDonald's. When you wash your burger down with the fountain Diet Coke from McDonald's, That's good eating. The formula is different and better. I've talked many times after the revolution, when we seized the means of production, we're going to nationalize all the McDonald's. And we're going to nationalize the Diet Coke formula. McDonald's Diet Coke fountain formula. We're going to make it available to everybody. It is too expensive, that's for sure. I get Dr. Pepper because it sounds medicinal. I would probably get Dr. Pepper with a McDonald's meal or Diet Dr. Pepper, which I really enjoy. But you can't get it from McDonald's here. It's not like part of the fountain options. I'm still paranoid that aspartame is going to mess my brain up more than it already is. That's all propaganda, man. James. That's propaganda from the big sugar industry. They don't want you to... They want to take away your medicine. They don't want you to have aspartame in delicious diet soda drinks. They want you drinking the full sugar versions of these products, which we know are really terrible for you on a variety of levels. In terms of your weight, diabetes, that amount of sugar is just not good. We know this. It's basically poison. Yeah, Canada has Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper, just not usually in the fountain options. Why do you give me that aspartame microplastic stare? Looks like a nice apple. I just finished a Snapdragon apple. This is a Honey Crisp. As an American, that makes 0 sense. Where do you get your Mountain Dew? Just in cans? We don't get all the variations. Not at all. No. I think we might be able to get Code Red Mountain Dew, but that's it. We don't get all the crazy different flavors. Mountain Dew comes from Taco Bell, though, but there's no Taco Bell in Montreal. Like, there's Taco Bells in Canada, like in Ontario. There's Taco Bells in There's not a Taco Bell in Montreal, though. There used to be on the south shore of Montreal, like off the island, you can get Taco Bell, but not on the island. I don't know if it's like some kind of bylaw thing or what the reasoning is, but there is not a Taco Bell in Montreal. Taco Bell is America's only redeeming quality. I remember when I grew up in Brockville, Ontario, when we got a Taco Bell, it was very exciting. And it's not there anymore. It didn't last. Maybe just like the spices were just too much for the people of Brockville, Ontario. I don't know. I remember getting, and we used to go at lunchtime for Taco Bell, and then eventually it was taken away. Is there fast food Tex-Mex? Not really. There's like mid-level takeaway Tex-Mex. There's not really fast food Tex-Mex. Not in Quebec anyways. That was one, like when I drove around like LA, that was one of my favorite things, just going to the random like fast food Mexican places. That was just a fun little treat for me. There's no food trucks either. There's designated spots for food trucks, but you can't like get like a street hot dog or go to like a halal cart or get a street taco or anything like that. There's weird bylaws in Montreal that govern this stuff. There's no stands. There's no stands like that. There's designated areas where you can go park a food truck if you have one, but you don't just walk down the street and go to like a taco stand or a halal cart or a hot dog stand, which I love. I love that kind of shit. I love in New York those like street halal carts with the yellow rice. Fuck, that's good stuff. That's usually like when I get delivery, that's usually the kind of food that I get, but I like getting it from a cart. You have to just take what you can get in. I mean, Montreal is one of the best food cities in the world. So you have to just like accept a few of these weird little quirks that it has. Otherwise, like you still have access to just some of the absolute best food and best restaurants. The Cartney Ramirez lamb over rice. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, I would enjoy. I would eat that right now. That would be tremendous. I'm talking about like, I started this off talking about how I'm like feeling bad about my weight, and I'm just drooling and dreaming about different taco stands and food carts that could exist in this city. I guess that's how we get here, isn't it? Probably unrelated, yeah. Taco Bell is the only place I can get a filling order of vegan fast food for my kids, and I for $10 and change. They're the savior of working class vegans. Yeah, I don't know where you would go to get fast food, vegan food. I'm like, I know there's plenty of vegan restaurants in Montreal, but slightly more high, not like Taco Bell level. Taco Bell will be nationalized as well. Yeah. Hey, Lana, how's it going? I was just talking, Lana, about how I wish that in Montreal we had like street meat. And like, you know, street meat and halal carts and taco trucks, that kind of stuff. Taco stands. Amazing food city, as Lana can attest to, but just like, that's one thing that we're lacking, definitely. The Taco Belton Road, that's nice. There we go. Like in Demolition Man, all the restaurants are Taco Bells. That's true. That would be a big shift. No, there's no street food. There's designated food truck areas that you can visit, but you can't have like a stand where you cook food and sell it to people on the street. There's an amazing spit meat place near me that's been on the verge of reopening for like 2 years. The one that I would like, the place I always go to is Booze Tan, which is like right down the street from where I'm at right now. And it's just so, it's every time I get delivery, That's what I get. It's fucking great. Or I just go for a little stroll and pick it up. I believe grocery stores can sell food in the outside. I see that all the time, James. So I don't think they're part of those bylaws. You'd like La Ligne Rouge? I imagine I would. It sounds great. Nothing hits as good as some street meat at 11 p.m. and a giant bottle of Diet Coke. That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful. And as I was saying prior to this, it's been hard to feel good about my weight lately. Before the 10-minute digression of talking about various kind of meats that I would like to eat. It's hard to feel good about my body. Maybe I just need to go on HGH. Maybe that's what I need to do. Would anyone object if I just got super ripped? What if I did that? Because I've cultivated a lot of mass. I could now take on a pharmacological regimen and really sculpt that into something special, I think, if I set my mind to it. If I set my mind to it, I probably could. Right now, I'm not totally convinced, though. You have to work out. This is the problem, yeah. This is the problem. It insanely ripped as a joke. Yeah, no, you can't take PEDs. You just have to go to the gym also. One day we can remove that part of it. That would be ideal. You know, if we're going to live in a cyberpunk dystopia, it would be cool just to be able to take some kind of magic pill that just made you get ripped. And you could just kind of sit around. Let's get ripped out to anabolics with you. I reckon we got a taker. We got a lot of takers on this. We got a lot of takers. We're going on the juice, this community. This community is getting juiced in 2023. Okay? I tuned in just in time for you to ask me to get super ripped.
Good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Roid Rob. Roid Rob. Roid Rob.
And I'm sad to learn you weren't talking about getting extremely high. I'm already there, brother. Thank you so much to Pathogen for the 9 months of Tier 1. Roid Rob, indeed. This could be a powerful rebranding. This could be a powerful rebrand for me and many members in this community. They were supposed to build a YMCA right next to my house, and my county commissioner from my area worked to have it moved to the opposite side of town. I'm so pissed. There is literally a YMCA next to where I live also, so now that I'm fucking the second time, I just realized I've been doxing myself. So hopefully none of my extensive number of enemies are watching this. Anyway, it's also a time thing. It's just a fucking time thing for me, you know? I usually have 2 evenings a week that I do work. I do the podcast with Jordan 2 evenings a week. And, I got a 7-year-old kid. I got shit going on. It's hard for me to take more evenings than that to do other stuff. Whether it's lifting or playing ball, hooping. I would love to start hooping again. But it's really hard. It's really hard to find the time. I cannot get up at 5 a.m. No, I'm not going to be doing that. Hello, Ashley. Hello. Enemies of the Friendship Triangle are triangulating your true position as we speak. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Dream from a Bowflex. Yeah. Speaking of the Insurgents podcast, by the way, that I do with Jordan, we did just drop a new episode this morning with Jules Suzdaltsev, which is good. I encourage people to listen to that. Another good one. Another good one, I think. Once again, I'm holding down the fort for Avatar Nation, Na'vi Nation. It's great. Jordan just keeps finding people to come on this podcast that just have not seen Avatar, have no interest in watching it, just think it has no value. And I'm seeing it set all these kinds of box office records. We talk about this all the time. I'm seeing on Twitter, there's plenty of people that love Avatar, and Jordan just keeps finding people that are just like, "What? How you like that? You actually watched that?" And that's how they talk to me. They talk to me like I'm a crazy person for engaging with this like hugely popular film franchise. You actually look at that? And I'm like, yeah. In fact, it's you that's weird for not looking at it. It's very strange, but I'm still, that's the thing. I'm not, regardless of how it gets, people come and mock me for these, for liking these films. Nothing's going to make me change my mind on this. Can't be swayed. We are Legion. That's right. We are Legion, but instead of like the mask, the V for Vendetta mask, it's like the Avatar ears that Jack Allison was wearing. The New York Times doesn't know Rob asked for Avatar 2. Yeah, who asked for this? Literally millions of people. How do I get around the 3-hour Avatar movie length? Well, first of all, I would encourage people to listen to my conversation with Jack Allison about this, because it's just genuinely, I think it was a cool conversation about the movie that gets addressed. I think, like Jack was saying, there you can find the video there, and encourage people to subscribe to my YouTube page. But I mean, lots of things are 3 hours. Like, people sit around and watch Twitch streams for 3 hours. Like, people sit down and binge watch entire seasons of a TV show, Stranger Things or whatever it is. You know, people sit down for 3 hours and do all kinds of stuff. And if you really have to go pee, just like, you can just get up for 5 minutes and go pee. You know, you can see it's fine. You get up when the Sully family has moved in officially into the Metcaina clan, and they're learning the way of water. You can take 5 minutes. This is a movie it doesn't move at this breakneck pace the whole movie. It takes its time around the middle of the movie and just gets you a lot of moments with these characters. You can get up for 5 minutes and go to the bathroom. It's all right. Try to be there for the last hour, the big last epic action sequence. You know, you probably don't want to miss that. And I love all the stuff in the middle as well, but if you can, if you can just if you have to get up during that period, you're not going to miss anything that's going to change the movie to you. People sit around at work like chumps for more than 3 hours all the time. That's right. That's absolutely right. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. In fact, I would like to go see it for a third time, frankly, while it's still in theaters. I would be happy to go see it. Both times I saw it in the theater, I didn't go. You just pee before the movie, and then just when the film's over, you can pee again. You know, that's just it's not that big of a problem. I did really have to go though, for the first time I saw it. I don't want to act like I didn't. I did. For the whole last hour, I was like, oh boy. But I made it. It was fine. Unfortunately, they served beer in the theater I was in. That's a problem. Yeah. Looked incredible. I normally hate movies with lots of CGI. I mean, it's it really, like I was saying in my conversation with Jack Allison, it really does kind of trick your brain. If you just get kind of immersed in it, and I think you understand on a fundamental level that the characters are computer based, even though sometimes you start to kind of lose sight of that. But even just the surroundings and the environment and the water and the trees and just all the environments, afterwards you think to yourself like none of that was real. It's not like they were mixing real backgrounds with like CGI characters. It's like none of that was real. That's the really fucked up thing about it, I think. Because you're just watching the film, your brain just accepts it for being real images that you're seeing, I think. That's how like totally photorealistic it is. Cameron put Spider in there just to flex having a human interact perfectly with all the CGI characters. Yeah, I mean, it really is seamless. Even like the stuff with the boat captain and stuff, like when you would see him, the real actor, interacting with all the equipment and all the other characters, and it's just like your brain just goes, yep, that's what's happening. It's pretty, like, honestly, just on a purely technical level, that's one of the reasons I would advocate for people to see it. Just on a purely, like, going to a theme park ride. You know? Even if you hate all the shit about the blue people and the New World myth that's kind of being retold. You know, even if you can't stand into that stuff, just on a technical level alone, it's worth seeing just for how completely fucking... like mind-blowing it is. How much better it is than anything that's being made right now. It just seems like it's a movie coming from like 30 years in the future, like technological wise. We don't need to talk that much more about Avatar or any of this stuff. I've talked so much about Avatar in this show, but it's because I went over it yet again with Jules on the podcast last night. I'm not a big movie person, but I went to see the movie and I feel like I'm missing something. I felt like it was fine. Well, maybe it just didn't connect with you. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, you look like Pedro Pascal at 480p. That's a compliment. Well, thank you. A number of people have suggested that I do look like Pedro Pascal. I will say, to tie it back to how I started talking about all this, that like from here below, right? From here and below there, I do not look like Pedro Pascal. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I've been watching The Last of Us. I've been really enjoying it. I think I do have to accept, though, that I do prefer the game. Because the show is getting so much hype right now, and a lot of it is deserved. I think it's really well done. I do think I prefer the game, though, and I think I prefer most of the changes I prefer the game to the way most of the tweaks and the changes that have been made. You are seeing in this new arc that just started too, some of like the somewhat more liberal and reactionary politics of both Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, I think. When you get into this like revolution that's happened, like they go into Kansas City and the government has been overthrown, and like there's this revolutionary like people's army that's taken over, basically. They've not explicitly named as being any kind of political orientation or anything like that. Even the Fireflies are compared to like the Marlena from the Fireflies is compared to Che Guevara at one point. But you get this glimpse in this latest episode that like, oh, these revolutionaries have taken over and they're just as bad as the other guys. You know, there was a lot. Craig Mazin also did Chernobyl, which I enjoyed a lot as well. I thought Chernobyl was like kind of like pretty sympathetic to Soviet socialism, but there was also a lot of anti-communism in it as well. And you see glimpses of that in this latest episode of The Last of Us. It's like, oh, these revolutionaries have taken over and they're just as violent or maybe even worse as the other guys. which I think squares with both Craig Mazin's politics and Druckmann's, who's he's from Israel. But despite, I think, both of the shortcomings of both Druckmann and Craig Mazin, I enjoy the story of the game a lot, and I do enjoy the show. But I just love the game so I think the game is still on another level. There's a handful of anti-Soviet caricatures in Chernobyl, but some of the best sci-fi horror I've seen. I still really enjoyed Chernobyl, Carrier Wave. For sure, like even the episode, like I don't know if you're referring to the part where, like when they go into the tunnels with the dank, dark tunnels with the radiation and the fucking twitching, the radiation meters and stuff, how terrifying it is. You know what? I don't know if this was intentional on Craig Mazin's part, but I just saw the beauty of the Soviet system shine through, I think. Even when you saw it, you're getting beat over the head by this like kind of anti-Soviet message about the lying about what happened and the cover-ups and everyone's afraid and whatever. But like, you also see this town in Pripyat that's based around this plant. And the brutalist apartment structures, and then the community pool and the community parks and everything, and you see the beauty of that.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Soviet city of the next millennium that they were kind of building around this futuristic technology. You know, I thought that was so cool. You get this beautiful glimpse of what was lost, and was also just so accurate in terms of the aesthetics and everything. Dave, thank you for the 200 friend coin. Thank you, Dave. And I actually wrote a piece about this in Paste Magazine, which is that even though like you could take the message of Chernobyl to be like anti-communist, or this whole idea, like I was saying, the whole idea of them covering up this disaster and lying about it to protect themselves and endangering people. Like, I also just read that, like, we're living through that right now. You know, we're living through that right now in our capitalist system, our capitalist system, which rejected every semblance of socialism and which was kind of erected in total opposition to socialism. We're going through a massively more impactful environmental disaster in global climate change that makes the Chernobyl disaster look fucking tiny and minuscule in comparison, and seems to be more competently handled in comparison as well, despite the mistakes. And it's been on a much, much larger scale, the exact same behavior of the people responsible covering up their involvement and the responsibility, playing down the consequences of what they did to everyone, to everyone's negative impact, but of millions or perhaps billions of people rather than just this relatively small geographical area. I mean, Bush did 9/11 and they lied about it. I think the U.S. wouldn't lie about a similar climate. You think the U.S. wouldn't lie about a similar climate disaster? Well, but they did. I mean, we know that they did. We know that Exxon in the 1970s knew full well the exact consequences of our society's like addiction to fossil fuels and the exponential growth and where it was going. Their scientists were very well aware of this decades ago. You know, this is established. Like, this isn't even a conspiracy, or it's not even some fantastic story, you know? They've absolutely knew all this, and they deliberately covered it up. And they created vast new like reactionary and conservative media networks devoted to like obfuscating the reality of what was going on and turning it into this like politicized issue that you can just choose to believe in one side or the other. You know, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, imagine Chernobyl happening in the USA in 23. Oh, you don't have to. COVID is still raging. That's another example as well. All the exact same behavior that's being kind of criticized in Chernobyl. Sometimes shit happens when you're pushing the boundaries of the human experience. The RBMK was designed to produce plutonium to counter the Western nuclear threat. And modern capitalist Russia still operates RBMK reactors, so the failure was not of socialism. And in fact, I think the likelihood that Chernobyl was sabotaged somehow, I think that's probably not something that should just be dismissed either. You know, perhaps what happened there was some freak accident, or you see I think it's like Comrade Dyatlov or something in the show. You see him like kind of deliberately pushing things to this limit of creating this huge disaster and being completely kind of nebulous and mysterious about why he does that. I think the idea that there was sabotage involved on the part of Western powers, though, shouldn't just be dismissed, though. It was in Ukraine, after all. That's right, it was. Yes, it was. And was absolutely used politically as one of the final nails in the coffin of the Soviet socialist system. It took a few more years afterwards to fully die, but that was one of the sort of death rattles of it. You didn't see graphite on the ground because it wasn't there, too. We're done with COVID. That's right. And if we're going to compare notes on communist versus capitalist nuclear disasters, let's not forget Fukushima and 3 Mile Island. Yeah, it's... The idea that there hasn't been similar disasters is just not true. I did really just enjoy watching that show, though, and seeing Pripyat, though, and seeing that community. I just thought that was so cool. But then, of course, yeah, you have some like deliberate sort of anti-communist propaganda mixed in with that. When you have in the first episode, like when it's clear they need to evacuate the town, and you just have this like evil-looking Soviet like lifer just being like, "We must cut all the telephone lines. We must make sure no one understands what has happened here," or something like that. Just like super fucking sinister, you know. Just to really make sure that that's gotten across to people. I love seeing all the old Soviet tech. Me too. God damn, I just love that shit. There's a YouTuber who shot a series of mini documentaries on tour through the Chernobyl exclusion zone literally months before the war began. It's a little pro-nuclear, but still very interesting and humanizing. I mean, I think we're pro-nuclear, right? I don't think nuclear power is the only solution to like keeping our fucking lights on while transitioning off of fossil fuels. But to me, it has to be one of the solutions, right? And there's environmental consequences to that, like with anything, but there's even more environmental consequences to keeping on the current path of the, like literally increasing our dependency on fossil fuels and fracked gas and all that kind of stuff. You know? The smartest people I know, it's red scary, tell me nuclear is necessary as a transitional power source. It just seems like unavoidable, and it seems like, you know, had nuclear energy continued, the research into it and the dependency on nuclear energy had continued from where it was, you know, in the 70s, Chernobyl became like this big anti-nuclear rallying cry as well, right? Which obviously the oil and gas industry benefited from tremendously. Like if we had continued our research and continued developing this technology, we would be so much further along the way now towards being independent of fossil fuels. But we really just like abandoned this burgeoning technology. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying, Pathogen. With the multi-decade construction times on nuclear plants, they won't be online in time to help with the climate crisis. That's just it, though. If we had continued building nuclear plants, if from the 70s to now, and continued taking it as seriously as we once did, that might be a different story. What do you mean by this, Sincha? We did invest in it in Chicago, but we abandoned it because Homer Simpson threw a rod. Are you just talking about the ways that nuclear became just like accepted in pop culture as being just dangerous and unstable, and the way that Homer's job in the nuclear power plant was kind of emblematic of that idea, that it's just like this terrible industry that does nothing but pollute and destroy and is run by greedy people and stupid people? Is that what you're talking about? No, we had an incident and our nuclear plant was shut down. Okay, well, that's probably a little bit different from what I was saying. There's a lot of nuclear innovation happening today. The latest Science Friday podcast has a feature on it. There are small reactors with 5-year build times being shipped to utilities. And isn't China and also slightly behind them, the US cracking some code on fusion? I'm really not clear about the technological aspects of this. But aren't there huge innovations happening? Yeah, the thorium reactor. Yeah. Problem with nuclear power is that we'll always need a fuel, a rare resource in just a few spots, uranium to be extracted from Earth and processed. Solar, geothermal, and wind doesn't. They're available everywhere. Well, I think that's the idea, is that that's where the zero emissions future needs to come from. These abundant resources. But it might have to be part of our stepping stone to get to that point. For providing electricity for, billions of people. Throw a rod usually means an engine rod goes through the oil pan, which means engine over. Okay, so I'm just missing out on the lingo, the dialect. Even though, as you all know, I can disappear into any culture. That was one that apparently I think I missed that day of my intelligence training. I was sick that day, I guess, when we learned about that one. I thought you were talking about Homer Simpson literally throwing a rod of plutonium in the entry of the opening to The Simpsons. I just thought about it because I've been watching The Simpsons a lot, and I've thought a little bit about how the nuclear industry is kind of portrayed. Rob missed carry guy training. That's right. Car guy. That's how much I don't know about it, is that I thought carry guy was a thing. And I tried to just repeat that like that was a thing, that I understood what it was. And now it was just a typo. I'll just read anything if it's on the teleprompter. That's right. That's exactly right. we're all carry guys. Jim, that's right. Big carry guy over here. Is this something we should explore further? I mean, I don't really know what to do today in terms of the actual content of the stream. We covered a lot of balloon stuff. A lot of balloon content has been covered. over here. Maybe we can take a break from that. There's probably videos we can look at, either on this subject, or you can see what's going on Breakthrough News, or there's the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, which just seem fucking devastating and terrifying. I don't even really know what to do about that. I don't really want to just sit and watch some of the shocking footage over it, because it's just like, it feels a little exploitative. I saw Hassan raised a lot of money for relief efforts. One interesting thing about the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey that I think we can point out to as well is that our governments, which have been sanctioning Syria, and how they're, I think, less equipped to deal with big crises like this because of the ways that their government has been completely isolated over the last 8 years now, as we've tried to do regime change there. And really, this is a situation where we should probably be dropping all the geopolitical games and trying to make sure that they're in the best position to help people recover from this. And as sanctions always do, sanctions are just going to impact their ability to do that. And that's not even a pro-government argument. That's always the thing about when you talk about Syria as well. It's like that you don't really have to like it to just acknowledge what the government is. It doesn't mean you have to like or support things that the government does. But like the whole idea of funding these proxy armies, just as NATO did in Libya and Ukraine, that hasn't turned into anything resembling a legitimate government in 8 years. So that might upset some people. The reality, though, that it has not. There is no, our proxies have not overthrown the government and formed a new government in that time. Partially because Russia, in that case, decided, no, we're just not going to sit around and let you do this. And that's why they got involved in that conflict. The reality is, though, there isn't another legitimate government of Syria. There's one, and we are currently still sanctioning that government and still make it as difficult as possible for them to recover from or respond to any big disaster or any big crisis. So you'd think you saw like Melanie Joly and like these Western diplomats saying like, oh, we're so sorry about what happened to Turkey, and just not mentioning that Syrians are dealing with the exact same disaster, and we're literally hindering their ability to respond to the disaster. What is this Varoufakis speech? On why the world needs a new and non-aligned movement. That could be good to watch. But that was the main thing that sprang to mind about these like horrendous, the horrendous footage that we're seeing about these earthquakes, is that we should probably be like putting people's recovery above whatever geopolitical issues that we have with that country, which I see people are not doing. Yeah, they're mentioning, all our diplomats mentioning Turkey and talking about what Turkey's going through while not referencing anything that's going on with Syria. And I saw even kind of like these like NATO supporters criticizing Turkey for being a stumbling block to Finland joining NATO, and saying like, oh, that's what you get. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It's pretty grim stuff. Frankly, I think it's frustrating even talking about Syria and talking about why we're still sanctioned, like why we're still engaging in this process. And I feel like it should be obvious that, again, regardless of what you think about Syria or Assad or any of that stuff, that we did try to do exactly what happened to Libya to Syria. And we did try and do the exact same thing in Ukraine. or the same thing that these imperialist countries always do, arming and funding these proxies, no matter who they are. In the case of Syria, it was like Islamists and people that we were otherwise fighting in other places, arming and funding them to overthrow and destabilize a government that we don't like, and creating a massive civil war where, of course, horrible things happen, you know? And it's the way it's become so controversial to even acknowledge that, I think, is really unfortunate. And in moments like this, when there's this terrible natural disaster, it leads to, you know, them not being able to help people. And we're intentionally making it more difficult because we're still trying this process of trying to destabilize their government. Like in Iraq, I mean, like anywhere, you know, Afghanistan, Nicaragua, El Salvador, you name it. You know, this is what we've been doing. This is what we've been doing all over the world. All over the world for generations. And, you know, we're not allowed to acknowledge that when it comes to Syria. And we're not allowed to say, like, no, we should be dropping the sanctions and working with the one legitimate government they have, working with them to help ease this disaster and make it possible for them to recover from this. Let's look at what else I got here. There is this there's a breakthrough news thing about why it's wrong to blame humanity in the abstract for climate change, which could be something that's interesting segue the conversation about nuclear energy, maybe transitioning into that. That could be kind of cool. What do we think, folks? That Justin Potter interview on decolonization and the climate is excellent. I mean, that would be a natural segue. Did you watch the balloon versus F-22 video, Rob? Are you talking about the one that was supposed to like buy the Chinese nationals to like make fun of it? I do think maybe it's worth looking into this, actually, even though I wanted to maybe take a break from balloon coverage. But the news stories about like how people in China are just laughing at the United States' paranoid, fearful spasms and just like rampant paranoia about a fucking balloon. And there's all these news stories that are like, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. Can you post the link, Dakadoon? They're laughing at us over the balloon. Sorry, you send the Discord link and I'm like not logged into Discord on my browsers, and I'm going through the whole process of doing that. The F-22 cost per life cycle of one Raptor is an estimated $334 million. A single one Raptor with an approximated F-22 cost of $150 million each. How long should an F-22 be able to last? There's probably so many dudes in the CCP and PLA hanging out, cracking jokes about how Americans are being terrified of balloons. I mean, this is what I was saying yesterday, you know? There's all this like breathless speculation about what intelligence is being learned from this balloon, which could possibly, in the worst case scenario, is taking pictures of Montana from high up in the air. That's what it's doing, which they can do with a satellite at any time. So this question, what intelligence are they getting from this balloon? Like maybe some of the intelligence, like I was saying yesterday, maybe some of the intelligence they're getting is they're seeing that America is a collapsing, dying empire, paranoid and delusional and jumping at shadows and freaking the fuck out for weeks at a time, or like 4 days at a time, going on 5 days now, about literal balloons. Maybe that's some of the intelligence that they're getting, you know? Maybe that's what they're figuring out. Or pictures of strip mall parking lots. Yeah, congratulations. They fucking found you. This is one thing that I talked about in the podcast episode this week, the Insurgents podcast episode. You know, we already know it's very easy to find out where these like ICBMs or where these American military bases are. Like they talked about it openly where they are in the media. You know? If they want to just take a picture of Montana from the sky, they can do that at any time. At literally any time. It costs $8 million a day to operate a carrier group. That's not even how much it costs to build it. Like, it's really ludicrous. If that is true, this is the first time one of these planes has been used to like shoot down another aircraft. A report submitted to Congress in 2017 stated that if the government restarted its F-22 production, it would cost the United States $50 billion for just 194 of the jets. With these figures, the F-22 Raptor price point could range between $206 and $216 million for only one jet. What a fucking great system, right? If you're these weapons contractors that build these planes and build these weapons, yeah, it's going to cost $50 billion, I guess. Yeah. It's literally just, as we've talked about endlessly, it's just a money printing machine just going right into their pockets for decades. You know, no accountability, no need to like match the actual jet, like for how like show the books, you know, show the books on this, where all the money's going. No need to like even deliver a working product like the F-35 that they've spent trillions on. Like, this is just one plane, the F-22. We're talking $50 billion in 2017. This is just one plane. They spent trillions on the F-35. What a fucking sweet deal for them, isn't it? Just a sweet deal. It's just endless. It's just endless supply of billions and billions of dollars just going right into their bank accounts and their shareholders' bank accounts for decades. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing to think about. It's also amazing and very depressing to think about the unfathomable amount of money that has been just handed over to these defense contractors that could have been spent on schools, transit, healthcare, parks. Like, America could really be like a fucking paradise. It really could. Like, can you imagine the trillions of dollars being put into beautiful state-of-the-art transit stations and infrastructure, education, parks? Like, it's just such an unfathomable amount of money that's been just pumped into this. The creation of all these weapons, which are not even used. To say nothing of the nuclear program. We talk about the nuclear program, how much money America spent on building nuclear weapons that could have, in the 70s and 80s, when that arms race was going on, been building nuclear reactors, where I'm sure the United States would be energy independent by this point. If the amount of, or not even just nuclear reactors, but investing in wind and solar and hydro and these other forms of electricity. You'd have abundant cheap energy right now. But of course, you can't have abundant cheap energy because then fossil fuel companies and their shareholders don't make billions of dollars. Of course, you can't have good schools, good parks, healthcare, transit. You can't have any of those things because then weapons contractors and the CEOs and the shareholders are not making billions and billions of dollars. You just can't do it. It is really so, literally spending on anything would be better. Just burning it would probably be better. Just literally to just keep people warm. We build parks and homeless people might try to sleep there and you can't help them out like that. Well, you have one solution to that. I know this is upsetting to hear for like certain young Turks presenters who built huge names in the progressive media world and are now going all in on like this kind of fear mongering about this, but you could spend the money. If you don't want homeless people living in the beautiful metro stations or the beautiful parks, you can just put them in housing as well. That's one thing you could do with that money as well. If it's so offensive to you, and it should be offensive, frankly, to live in a society where you have unhoused people living on the street and in metro stations and in parks and libraries, it should be disgusting and offensive to you to live in that kind of society, but not because of the people, because you allow it to happen. So yeah, if you don't want homeless people sleeping in these places and living in these places, living in the beautiful libraries and parks, then put them in housing. Put them in housing, which is significantly cheaper than whatever it is America and Canada is doing right now to confront these communities, which is paying cops triple overtime to beat the shit out of them and putting them in jail and not solving the problem. That's where we're spending that money now. You know? It's really a disgrace. It's one of the ultimate disgraces of America is what it could be versus what it actually is. Or Canada, for that matter. Like, but think about how much of a fucking great deal this is for the weapons contractors. Yeah, we won't even put benches in the bus stops now for fear someone might lay down on it. There we go. Great stuff. How many F-22 Raptors? This is the plane that shot down the balloon to combat social distancing, or the F-22. This is the plane that shot down the dangerous threat of the Chinese spy balloon, which is the first enemy aircraft that has ever been downed by one of these planes, which cost, again, between $206 million and $216 million apiece. How many F-22 Raptors does the U.S. have? As of now, the U.S. military has 186 F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets. Out of those 186, only around 130 of those are operational. And unfortunately, now the amount of combat-ready F-22s is likely in the double digits. So it's literally just been trillions just poured into a giant hole. That's what it was. The balloon was down by an F-22 and the F-25 was a typo. Okay, there we go. It's literally just, they just set it on fire, basically. But it paid for the private school education of a whole lot of, America's oligarch class, who, of course, all go to the same Ivy League colleges. They're all part of the leadership pipeline. They all go to the same prep schools, private schools. They all go to the same Ivy League colleges. They're all part of this. They go to the same fucking weird secret societies in those Ivy League colleges. They all go to the same parties and meetings, and they have their little club that promotes. And these are the people that become the CEOs of the weapons manufacturers. They become the oil and gas CEOs. They become the politicians. That sounds conspiratorial. I mean, that's the ultimate thing, is that it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It's literally just people that have the same class interests. And there's all these institutions involved to make sure that they have the means to protect those class interests at all costs. And they all know what their job is in that system. They don't even need to go to special secret meetings about it, right? They all know what their job is. They all know what they have to do. What was fucking... They all have sex with the same skeletons. That's right. The man himself. If I can find this clip. The man himself.
Thank you very much.
Outline this.
The environment.
I don't challenge the facts that you present that those backgrounds are there. What I challenge is the idea that there's some kind of conspiracy about
now
this.
I get to talk.
What we haven't had, let me just make this quick point. What we haven't had is a serious question about what to do with all of the energy needs that we have in America. A bunch of liberals want to tell people you can't drive this car, you can't have these lights on, you can't have a swimming pool. That's the attitude of people who don't understand what business is like.
You know what you can have now? You can have gas for $3 a gallon. You can be in California and have blackouts all the time.
Right.
Because of these energy policies.
And I love this.
Because of the energy policies that were created here in California, not as a result of a conspiracy, but because...
You don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities, they're on the same boards of directors, they're in the same country clubs, they have like interests, they don't need to call a meeting, they know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies, there are now 3, it will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice.
Right.
You don't get the real important choice. There's no freedom of choice.
That's a great point. Right. And speaking of
freedom... You don't need a conspiracy. You don't need a conspiracy. These guys all know what's best for business. They all know it's best for business, and they get groomed to be put in these positions of power from birth. The American aristocracy, right? The idea that we evolved past feudalism economically is really not true, is it? Like we have a fucking aristocracy. And we kind of pretend that we don't. And we pretend that the common man has some kind of say in the way that all this stuff is run. That's preposterous. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's all a complete illusion. These reactionaries and conservatives talk about being caught in the matrix. That is the matrix. That's the matrix. The fact that like none of us do have any free will. None of us do have any input into the way that our economy is organized or our society is structured. We don't. You see what happens when you try to organize through the system that's in place to try and promote a different vision for the economy. What happens is what happened to Jeremy Corbyn or what happened to Bernie Sanders. You get destroyed by the establishment or you get kind of consumed by the establishment. That seems to be the 2 options for when you try to work within that system to make things a slightly less stacked against normal people. A conservative comedian. I love that conservatives try to claim Carlin. It's just a fucking joke to me. I've learned more from Robert Anton Wilson than I have from any other source. George Carlin, RAW, is a hero of mine. Ask me sometime about the Illuminatus trilogy. That sounds very interesting, Lodan. That's it. And as a conspiracy theory, the idea, like what Heroic Skeleton said a few moments ago, the idea of conspiracy theories was created by Western propagandists to disregard leftists, for sure. Yeah. You know, it's something that Parenti talked about as well. I don't know if I can find the specific clip.
Thank you
he talks about a lot of his JFK talk. VJ talks about it in Washington Bullets as well. Yeah, that's true. Okay, what next? What do we got next? A little bit hungry, actually. I might have to get a little snack before we continue. I thought it was funny that Hassan got in trouble for it like 20 years later. So we're talking about Maher's 9/11 stance, which he got fired for from ABC. You know, that moment actually was a rare Maher W, frankly, because it wasn't even that America deserved 9/11. That's not exactly what he said. I believe it was more like they were saying it's like cowardly, and he was just like, "How is it cowardly?" Like, it was actually pretty, whether you like it or not, it was actually pretty brave to do. It was more along those lines, which is the Maher of 2023 would never dream of saying something so subversive. You know, now he now he's on there on his old man show, just ranting at clouds or whatever it is, talking about like, now Maher's talking about, yeah, the woke agenda. Well, you know who else went woke? The Chinese during Mao, during the Great Leap Forward. That was when the Chinese embraced wokeism. We saw what happened there, didn't we? And he went on to demonize Islam for a long ass time. That's exactly right. Yeah, he made that a big part of his brand. For sure. I mean, because this is actually a funny way to pivot to talking about this guy that tried to own me. This guy that tried to own me yesterday. This was quite funny, actually. Jason Keys. And I knew when I posted this tweet that it was going to get screenshotted by a bunch of like globe emoji weirdos. Like, I was aware of this when this guy is talking about, you know, democracy and how the only possible kind of democracy is the Western liberal democracy, right? That's the classic refrain. The only time you ever have democracy is when you have a specific Western style liberal democracy where you have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 parties, which all represent, of course, wings of the capitalist class, just different wings of that same class, all still protecting all the same class interests, working against everyone else. That's the only time you can have real democracy. And this guy says a one-party state cannot be a democracy. I said, yes, it can. Once again, Rob has been proven right. And then this guy chimes in, Jason Keys. He says, je me moque souvent des tankies francophones de Montréal. Mais ceux-ci sont des amateurs face à l'absurde débilité des tankies anglo de Montréal. Je vous présente Rob Rousseau. 93,000 abonnés. I couldn't think of the number for a moment. And so he posted this. He's calling me des tankies de Montréal. Des tankies anglo. Donc, il y a une grosse différence là, entre les tankies francophones puis contre les tankies anglo. C'est la différence là. And he posts this take here to be able to talk about, which also I find funny. I also find funny this idea that like whenever people take these takes as well, of course he's doing language wars. Yeah, he's calling people are saying he's racist for like, or no, he's calling people racist that are making fun of him for being French. Of course. There's because a bunch of people responded to this and was like, okay, Frenchie. And then he goes like, oh, you're racist as well. T'es raciste, t'es tanky, les deux. Sacrement. That's what he's saying. So I do enjoy it though when people like Jason here just present these like tweets or screenshots, like whether it's this, whether it's my statements about the United States working with Nazis after World War II, etc. And don't actually, like, they just present it as being so patently farcical that they don't even have to like respond to anything. The idea that anyone could say, that yes, you can have a democracy in a one-party state. The idea that someone could say that is just so outrageous. They don't have to actually try and like engage with that argument in any way or talk about why it's wrong. Like my point here in this tweet is very clear, right? When you have one party that represents the working class, yeah, that's a more democratic system than having 5 parties that represent the capitalist class. 5 different wings of the capitalist class that have maybe some slight differentiations between on social issues or, things like immigration or whatever, but largely agree that they're upholding the same levels of class interests. You know, that's my basic point. I don't even think that should be controversial. But people like this just show that idea that, yeah, you can have a one-party state that's a democracy. Of course you can. And just present it as so patently absurd that they don't even have to respond to it. They don't even have to, like, point out why it's wrong or anything like that. It's the Biden playbook, too. Look what this guy's saying, Jack. Come on. Anyway. Some of you are familiar here. We'll see yourselves. Here we got Carrier Wave. Here we got Marty. Yeah, Max. That's right. Max, I don't know if Max is a viewer of this program. I'm not sure. But also pointed out, no argument. Il a raison. He's right. This is what happens. This is what happens when you try to come for Rob Rousseau. The no argument is very good, yeah. I like to be able to choose, Rob. One party state can't have choices like AT&T or Verizon or Boost Mobile or Sprint or T-Mobile or, yeah, there we go. No argument and no bitches. But then that's right. Then this person, Tipperson Trip. I some of you are community members, I'm sure, but I'm not so sure, you know, who is who. It says you upgraded to racist. He accuses him of being racist. Donc, désolé, Jason, mais c'est pas possible d'être raciste contre le français, Jason. Sacrement. C'est pas possible. I think we can be respectful. But Jason, c'est pas possible. Jason blocked me because I have a Stalin avatar. Well, then I saw Dan Simpson was going after him with the Stalin stuff as well. Our friend Dan Simpson. I could go for a Quebecois pizza right now as well. I very rarely get the Quebecois pizza, which is one of my favorite kinds of pizza. Because my partner doesn't like mushrooms. So I never get it. But it's a top tier pizza, I agree. Have we discussed what a Quebecois pizza is? It's bacon, mushrooms. Was there green peppers on there? Is that it? Is it green pepper, bacon, mushroom? Or am I missing something? It's really good. Bacon, mushroom, pepperoni. Okay. See, I don't even know my own kind of pizza. Mushrooms I'm at, but otherwise that sounds okay. Well, that's the thing. Mushrooms seem kind of controversial. They're controversial in my household. Yeah, so Jason just calls Dan Simpson a Stalin apologist who retweets revisionist propaganda. So, of course, you think he's right. Which is one of the things that he tweeted is literally a CIA document, a declassified CIA document that it's like, we know that Stalin isn't like a dictatorship. We know that, but we have to talk about it a certain way. That's revisionist propaganda, literally a declassified CIA document. Anyway, my final word on this minor beef, this very minor beef, is with Jason Keys, is L plus ratio plus flag de Ukraine dans la bio. Là. That's my final word. Just a little small beef zone. That's the document they refused to let people cite on Stalin's Wikipedia page. It's like, we talk about this a lot, Matt, lately, it feels like, but people think that it's like divisive to talk about Stalin or to suggest that there's anything possibly redeemable about Stalin or to acknowledge his role as being like a prominent and effective leader. It's so impossible to do that. And people say, well, you don't, it's this dead thing. Like, why would you alienate people by talking about it? But you realize the more you do talk about it, how Stalin is like it's this wedge that was created. And this image of Stalin as a bloodthirsty monster on par with Hitler, that's been a deliberate project, which has it's been a very successful project and completely derailing or demolishing whatever their semblance there was of being like a left in the West. You can be on the left. You can be on the left in the West as long as you acknowledge Stalin and the Soviet Union bad, and that every actual effort at building socialism has been a disaster, and that every time that's been attempted in the past, it's been just like a complete horror show, human rights disaster. Like, you can be on the left in the West as long as you acknowledge. You can say all you want about America or imperialism or the CIA or American military or political interventions, as long as you acknowledge Russia and China are worse. That's all. And you can acknowledge that how terrible America is. You can acknowledge about all the horrible crimes that have been committed, as long as you understand that Russia and China are worse. And then that's it. That's the basic bargain that you can agree to. So the more this kind of shit comes up, the more I think it's important to talk about it. That's why we must stand with Stalinist babushka.
To mark up the size of the account.
Thank you, Dimitri. Has this person ever heard of Maurice TRRS, a French tanky? Oh man, this is cool. Vive Stalin, long live Stalin. From 49. From 49, when it was totally non-controversial to acknowledge Stalin as being, at the very least, an important and historic world leader. I don't know if we can do this whole 12-minute clip, though, Dimitri. In fact, they probably prefer the hopeless idea that the U.S. is terrible and it's the best you're going to get. Exactly. That's a great, if you're in the American or the Western ruling class, that's a great attitude for people to have, At least less controversial than FDR or Churchill. I mean, just the fact that we continue to uphold Churchill in our society and talk about here, Churchill is a great leader, but the idea of praising Stalin in any way makes you this like dangerous, subversive radical. I think that gives away the game right there. Like, because even when you're talking about things like ethnic cleansing or famines, even if that's your barometer, or purges, even if that's your barometer, or putting people in concentration camps as FDR did with the Japanese. If that's your barometer for what makes someone an irredeemable monster, still you can't possibly uphold either of those people either, especially Churchill, one of history's greatest monsters.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
This speech is a fucking banger.
Hey, thank you, Dimitri. Let's take a look at this. I don't know if people want to do the 12 minutes of French speech, though, although I do encourage people to watch this. This seems really interesting.
Exprimé en 100 langues différentes, retentit aujourd'hui à travers le monde. Vive Staline! Vive Staline! Lancent avec ferveur les travailleurs libres du grand pays socialiste, les fiers
the further we are from the past, the more it's easily manipulated.
Socialiste soviétique. Vive Staline! Répondent avec un même enthousiasme.
This is what I mean. It's like, that's why I think no matter how, I know it's divisive. I know it's divisive and it makes people uncomfortable, but I actually think it's important to talk about. I think it's important to unlearn some of these things. I really do. And I don't think we can have a movement if we don't reckon with the ways that we've been living under this revisionist history. No, this is not great for audio only, gang. No, it's not. I could translate in real time, but then that's taking things a little far. And like I've said before too, it's like people want to call themselves socialists. They want to. First of all, you want to call yourself a socialist, but to me, a big part of being a socialist is understanding and accepting that you're part of that long tradition, a long and glorious and beautiful tradition, including Mao, including Stalin, including Deng Xiaoping, including Lenin, including Marx and Engels. You know, there's a reason you see that picture of all the guys on there. You know, there's a reason. If you're going to call yourself a socialist, you belong to that tradition. It doesn't mean you need to accept every single thing that ever happened, that every single thing that any of these people ever did. Uncle Ho, thank you. Yes. Kim Il Sung. You know, you're part of that. If you're going to call yourself a socialist or a revolutionary, that's your tradition, and you should be proud of that. You should be that's a long and glorious tradition that you should be proud of. And what our ruling class asks you is that you reject this. You're going to be a socialist, but you must reject this entire tradition. Fidel, yes. Sankara, Che. You know, that's your tradition. You don't need to uncritically accept every single thing that happened in any of these revolutions or in any of these societies or whatever. But part of being a socialist is understanding that that's your tradition and learning from the past. Hoja, thank you. Learning from the past. Learning about the successes, learning about the failures, and synthesizing something for the future that's going to work. You can't be part of that tradition and then just reject the entire tradition. I think that's nonsensical. That's ideologically incoherent. And I also think, as well, it's like a lot of these people as well, when you're talking about anarchists or social democrats or people that go on this like Stalinist, they use Stalinist, they hurl Stalinist as being like an insult, but then call themselves, left wing, call themselves socialist, call themselves progressive, whatever. But they talk about being a revolutionary, and they do the guillotine memes and stuff, They talk about revolution. They talk about how they're going to uphold, upend society. They post the memes with the guillotines and all that stuff. They talk about how they're going to redistribute people's income, take away people's land, whatever. But then, you're going to talk like that, but you're not going to, these people don't realize that, like, if for this future that they kind of like to talk about and fantasize about, if that's ever going to come to pass, you're going to have to get tough. There's no getting around that. You're, there's no situation where you can live this beautiful revolution that you're talking about without someone who has a fucking iron will that's going to make difficult decisions and that's going to lead to some pretty tough things that people are going to have to live with. It's just nonsensical. I find that Deng's quote about Stalin is a good bridge for liberals that act shocked when I talk about the good policies of the USSR. Yeah, I think that quote is really good because he relates it to Mao as well and how Mao fits in with modern China. And they didn't immediately throw him on the bus and heap dirt on his grave after Mao died. They acknowledged that some bad things happened, but they're also like, he did a lot of great things. Right? People talk about, when I talk about this one-party state stuff, or when I talked about Mao, I sent that quote from Mao about World War III, people talking about all the people that died and the Great Leap Forward and all this stuff. And totally ignore the fact that for many people, there was a huge increase in their living standards. The millions of people in China that learned to read during that period. The fact that what Mao did was take a war-torn country who had just lost 20 million people in World War II, a war-torn, a deeply impoverished country, transitioning from feudalism, right? It's not like it was a capitalist country that they overthrew. It was a feudalistic system. And in decades, transitioned from that, in those specific conditions, into a modern socialist society. And then Deng came along, opened up their economy, and then we saw the strategy of building socialism with Chinese characteristics from that point. But yeah, it wasn't perfect, certainly. It was very difficult. And millions of people didn't make it in that process, that violent process of building this radically different new society on the ashes of this completely different culture, you know? But overall, it was an incredible, amazing accomplishment. Yeah, and you wonder if the empires had anything to do with the famines. Of course. Of course. But have you thought about if suburban white teens who watch debate streams would have done a better job? That's right. Not true. I see people that are like 19 saying like, Stalin was like a counter-revolutionary who destroyed socialism. And it's just like, that's an incoherent position. That's an incoherent belief. That just makes no sense. You know? And if you think that Stalin just is so terrible and irredeemable, and it's impossible to say anything about his legacy that's not he was a horrible monster, then you don't really believe in building socialism, do you? A big lesson to learn is don't back down from your party program to appease capitalists. They'll never accept a single concession and you'll lose your base. That's exactly what happened in Russia. And that's the mistake that China refused to make.
To talk you through all this.
People should read Don Ping Han about the Cultural Revolution, how it was better in the countryside with the proliferation of barefoot doctors that would travel to rural villages offering all kinds of medical help. Yeah, or, talking about Cuba. And thank you so much to Comrade Social Distancing for the 3 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To our friend Comrade Social Distancing. Yeah, you talk about Cuba. People point out the Cuban government. It's a one-party state. You're going to call that a democracy? Yeah, to the fucking poor people living in the mountains that got the ability to see a doctor and a dentist for the first time in their fucking lives. Yeah, that was significantly more democratic. Because they were not included in the democratic process prior to that, or in the Soviet Union. It brought these kinds of like social reforms to communities that had never been served by the system previously, or in Russia or in China. That Soviet system brought that kind of social solidarity and these kind of programs, whether it's education or healthcare, to a lot of different countries that had never experienced anything like this. And people call it again, people on the left call it, that's just imperialism. When you try and go take your socialist system and bring it to other countries. It's imperialism when the capitalists do it, and it's imperialism when the socialists do it. It's just baby brain. It's incoherent. It doesn't make sense. I'm actually heading to my Latin American left lecture now, and my professor is very good. If there are any readings that stick out to me, I won't hesitate to share them in the Discord. Thank you, Dr. Maggot. Thank you. Starmer, Red Tory, or Sunak, Blue Tory is such a great democracy we have in the West. Yeah, or Red conservative Trudeau versus Blue conservative Pierre Poilievre, who's now trying to talk like he's some fucking working class hero, who's going to come in, if he does replace Trudeau, is just going to have more austerity, more privatization. When the peasants can read, it just makes them read propaganda better. That's right. Well, that's what I mean. And it's not just about the access to a doctor in Cuba or in rural China, but it's getting literacy to these communities as well. Where they were literally kept in ignorance and misery before. You're an imperialist Castroite. You're just as bad as apartheid South Africa. there are more political parties, it allows more people to be apolitical and disengaged. This couldn't possibly be a side effect, could it? Yeah, this is in Canada, in our amazing liberal democracy. You know, it's not a two-party state. We do have multiple parties. We have a lot of people in the United States that have convinced themselves that like a third party is like the fucking answer. A third party. We got lots of parties in Canada, you know? And yeah, they're still just each serving different wings of that capitalist class. And you basically have two parties. Only two parties have ever actually formed the government in the history of this country. And, you know, they're winning majorities in our parliament, in our Western style liberal democracy, like that guy fetishizes. They're winning majorities with like, what, 23% of the vote, 23% of voters in the country are selecting them at the ballot box in our free democratic system. It's just a joke. It's a fucking joke. I know, same with me, freelance communist. That speech really did so much more for me. It did so much for me to put me where I am today. Just that one speech, which is just, it shows you the power of effective political communicators. You know what it means to be able to read? That changed my whole life, just hearing those words. A good introduction to Stalin is reading his interviews with foreign workers' delegations. There's one from 1927 with an American one. That's great stuff. I am taking I'm going full in this direction, by the way. I did order the Lasordo book on Stalin, by the way. It's in the mail right now. I am going to read the Lasordo book on Stalin. I'm going all the way with this. I'm seeing this one through to the end, folks. And we'll see how deep the rabbit hole goes. I'll try to do it for March or April, Marty. I got to take just like a brief break, folks. I got to take a brief break. I'm glad people have been interested in hearing this. Hopefully there's not lurkers, canceling me or whatever, or clipping me to talk about how I'm an evil Stalinist or whatever. And people are receptive to this message. I got to go for just a few minutes to get a snack. I got about another hour left. I haven't really been cracking the whip on the subs today, and I don't really want to. I would really prefer not to have to like take a whole time to like try and crack the whip to make the number go up. But please, I'll just make this one plea. Please, if you do enjoy this content and the commentary that I do here, and you want to keep this content on the air, this show airs every single day from noon to 4 p.m. It's a lot of time to be on here doing this kind of content and commentary and doing this community stuff with you guys. So if you want to support that, please subscribe to the program, gift subs, donate, friend coin, join Twitch's only 2D triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward system. As I was saying right up front, it's the only such platform that exists on the entire website of Twitch. There's only one 2D triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward
We
system.
simply
That's
use
this
the
channel.
computer to mark up the size of the account.
Thank you very much, Lana. Thank you for the 200 friend coin. That's very kind of you. I need to update the dancing one there. I think I did that dance and an updated version. I think I need to update. It's about time to update that GIF. History will absolve you, Rob. Thank you, Moss. Thank you. Tanky Red Fash says what? Well, that's what I mean. It just becomes like we joke around about it, but it just does become just a conversation terminating thought, you know? And it's a way to just dismiss people, and it's a way to marginalize people. Life expectancy increased from 35 to 65 under Mao, one of the most rapid increases in human history. We as socialists should claim this legacy, not denounce it, just not to make liberals uncomfortable. Like this is my entire point when it comes to any of these figures. You know, this is my entire point. That's something to be proud of, not something to run away from. Like the whole Shen Yun ballet or whatever. China before communism. Oh no, China before communism. We're going to show China before communism just destroyed and ruined the country. But China before communism was feudalism. It was a feudalistic system where, the vast majority of people in the country were illiterate and deeply impoverished people. It was not a good system. It was not a nice thing that we should pine for or try to bring back. It was horrible. And the replacement of that system with the socialist system is one of the better things that has happened in modern history. I wish I had followed my gut on Stalin when I was a young teen. I don't know how I got so far away from it all for so long. I asked my mom if we were sure Stalin was bad, and it was like I had stabbed her. I mean, I've talked about it before, but it was one of the things that made me interested in the Soviet system in the first place and made me interested in socialism was the fact that I remember I probably still have this paper. It would actually be really interesting to find. I think in a box in my basement, I have this paper somewhere that I wrote in like 11th grade history or 12th grade history, where I tried to understand the contradiction. My 17-year-old brain, like empire baby brain, living in the suburbs in Brockville, Ontario, tried to reckon with this idea that we're told that Stalin is this horrible monster, but when Stalin died, people just poured into the streets to pay homage and respect to Stalin. People crying who loved this man deeply. Well, what was up with that? Why is that? If he was such a horrible monster, killing 20 million people as we're kind of told, why is that? And it's not that like genuine monsters can't have that kind of cult of personality around them, but that basic contradiction made me kind of like, made me kind of ask that basic question. What's going on here? What's going on with this? You're brainwashed. That's right. Just watch a Wuxia movie made by communist Chinese filmmakers. Enough Shen Yun. Thank you, Marina. Fellow Stalin enjoyer. Marina. Yeah, 20 million. Yeah, no, it's 50. New numbers drop all the time, of course. It's 50, it's 100, it's 200 million. Who knows? I discovered that my dad is a trot last year while talking about Stalin. Well, this is what I'm talking about, right? We talked about this the other week, but that's ultimately what we're discussing. When you talk about the Western left, when you start engaging with the theory and engaging with this dialectical version of history, you look around at all these left institutions in the media, in the unions, in academia, and you're just like, it's all trots. It's all Trotskyists. Right? That's the realization. That's the real Matrix moment. That's the real we're living in the Matrix moment. And these conservatives, these reactionaries think the Matrix is whenever, anytime anyone gets mad at them for like engaging in horrific behavior. That's what they think it is. That's the real Matrix moment, though. It's xenophobic to tell me I can't enjoy Stalin. I agree. It's actually racist, so. Have you seen the movie State Funeral? It's portrayed as an eerie service to a dictator, but in reality it just shows his service to the people and their remembrance of it. I haven't seen it though, but that sounds interesting, like related to what we're talking about. I was also thinking about Death of Stalin today, which is like somewhat sympathetic to the Soviets, but also is just really going along with the Khrushchevite version of Stalinist Soviet Union and is perpetuating that. American Trotskyism had an impact because during the 30s, the CPUSA was used as goons of labor. And after World War II were close to ending, they were cut off from the Democratic Party and the Red Scare came into effect. Yeah. And that's the ultimate fucking irony, right? Is that when we talk about Stalin, it's like, oh, the purges. Oh, the purges. As if we don't live in a society where there haven't been purges, right? All our institutions were purged of socialists. All these mainstream institutions. And we've presided over massive purges of socialists in the global south as well. In Vietnam, in Korea, in Chile, in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, in Brazil. in Indonesia, millions and millions of people, not just purged from institutions and lost their jobs and their careers, but were killed and tortured and disappeared. We've, in the Ukraine, thank you, we've presided over that. Our beautiful Western liberal democratic governments have presided over purges of millions of people that make whatever Stalinist purges you're complaining about look like fucking nothing in comparison. You know? Our whole culture is built on top of these kind of purges. And then we end up getting totally backward situations like that. I saw people sharing that image of Russian communists assaulting brave Ukrainian protesters. Did you see that being shared on Twitter? And it was literally Russians commemorating the defense of Leningrad being like yelled at and harassed by fascist Ukrainians while they're at their own protest and their own commemoration of this beautiful, incredible, inspiring victory of socialism over fascism. And these Ukrainian protesters go over there to scream at them, and then the resulting footage gets shared in the West as being evil socialists attacking brave Ukrainian freedom fighter supporters. Communist protesters attack Ukrainian refugees in Paris. That's how it's framed by one of these Nazi-worshipping fellas. NAFO fella granny. Fucking depressing. Communist protesters attack Ukrainian refugees in Paris. The demonstration was attended by about 100 French, Italian, and Spanish communists, as well as representatives of the Association of Compatriots. And against socialist French partisans who fought the fascists when fascists were occupying France. You know, it's their protest, not even a protest, but a commemoration of this great victory, this great Soviet victory. Yeah, they're literally not attacking. This is cool. It is the Big Lebowski music, yeah. This is a trailer for the film State Funeral. What makes a man, Mr. Lebowski? Mind if I do a J? Strong men also cry. Sorry, I dropped in this beautiful footage. Yeah, they thought this was supposed to be scary. I don't know. It's a bummer. Seclusion in the West Wing. Hey Newman, good to see ya. Imagine being stuck behind the guy carrying a 15-foot Stalin poster. It's so classic. It always happens in any one of these. Bunny, she is the light of my life. Yeah, this is cool. I'm just going to take a little break, folks, okay? I'm hungry. I haven't stood up for like almost 2.5 hours. I'll take a little break. Come back in a moment. Actually, this is a little sinister. I mean, Tito had the biggest funeral of diplomats in recorded history. Tito is fucking cool, man. I'll be back in just a moment.
We will not forget history. We will not let history disappear. We will always be with Lenin, and we will bring back Stalin. Those ruling the country today are criminals. Is that what they call government? They have made people destitute. Stalin won the war. Lenin won the revolution. The Democrats have done what Hitler wasn't able to do. We will not.
She's right, folks. And listen, I actually have an announcement, okay? I've got an important announcement about this community. A real one, that's right. I'm meeting with Lodane tomorrow about emotes. We're going to have new emotes coming. But I did just make one little executive decision. In light of this conversation, and because I knew that I would watch this video, which is there is a brand new emote which you can use right at this very moment. TRRS Babushka. Let's see, in honor of this queen, can we please get some babushkas in the chat? There we go. And the reason I bring it up too is, maybe that's worth a couple subs, If that's something, if you want to use the TRRS Babushka emote on Twitch, that's how you do it, is by subscribing to this program. I'm low. You dishonor her by not letting me Photoshop the emote first. Do you think it would be better with like the outline? I thought it was okay like this, but we could do an updated version as well. I'm not opposed to that. But if you want to honor this queen and use the babushka emote elsewhere on Twitch, that's how you do it, is by subscribing to this channel for $5 per month. We're sitting low. This has been a heavy discussion, a heavy theoretical and dialectical discussion. Okay? I'm low in the subs. Before I leave here today, I got to put a little effort into making line go up. So please, if you do enjoy this content and you want to help me keep this content on the air, keep the show on the air, and honor and respect.
On me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Honor and respect, friend of the show, Stalinist Babushka. That's how you do it. Thank you, Amazing Bird Show, for gifting a sub to our friend Lolo, Alex, aka Alex Peters. I think it's a good emote, frankly. I think you can use it for all kinds of purposes. It doesn't just mean to be when you watch this video. And it's also a low-key way of upholding Stalin on Twitch.tv without explicitly referencing it. Did I tweet that I was streaming? No, I did not, Lexi. I'm sorry. No, I did not. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to you for not tweeting. Now it's too late, though. Now it's too late. I have to leave in like 28 minutes. I connected my Twitter to Streamlabs so I would tweet an announcement automatically without looking at Twitter. I guess that makes probably a good idea. Although sometimes I like doing it, though, not just like the link to the stream, but you have to do a whole thing with like a meme or like a picture or something. That you can't do automatically. That's got to all come from up here. Yeah, no, I think the automated one would just send the title of the stream with the link. And sometimes it needs to be fancier. Twitter, like the algorithm really suppresses that. When you just tweet the link to the stream. You got to do a whole thing. You got to post a picture and then try to do the link in the bio maneuver. Otherwise, you get suppressed by the algorithm. Your free speech gets trampled on. You have to pay for Twitter Blue to beat this. I will never do that, though. I will never do it. Even if that is the solution, it's not going to happen. He's got the dang check mark and no luck. Exactly. I am excited to read that Lasordo book. I owe you some subs when I can again. Well, thanks, Lexi. I appreciate that. It's a grind today. I don't know what's going on today, but it is a grind today. I guess it's not worth pointing out that, you know, for our most generous 10 sub gifters, it does play a cool new alert with the classic TRRS peripheral character Shades Rob with the VJ Prashad sound drop. I guess that's not interesting to you. The Trotskyists are suppressing Stalinist thought. That's right. And like, I wanted to comment on what Dave was saying as well a couple of months ago about how Trotskyism is not like a monolith. And I know that that's true. And I know that there's Trotskyist organizations that do some good work and how it goes off in all these different directions, or that haven't been responsible for important things. Overall, though, it's just, I think it's been like a tool to kind of sever and disrupt and dismantle the Western left and kind of prevent this kind of internationalist solidarity and prevent kind of local solidarity. It doesn't mean that you know, these organizations aren't capable of doing good things or don't have a lot of good values that I agree with. I should point that out. But I do think it's important to like realize that distinction, though, and realize the way that Stalin and the Soviet Union and Mao have been used as this kind of way to disrupt the left and to kind of like break apart any kind of social solidarity. They're not divisive anymore. The divisions come from the bread tube weirdos. Yeah, that's true. That's true as well.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh, Lana, that's nice. Thank you for the gifted sub. Thank you for taking pity on me, Lana. I really appreciate that. And please, everyone, subscribe to the Freak Museum as well. There's not a lot of like correct Twitch streamers out here in the political Twitch world. We got a couple of them in this chat though. Matt, we got Subversive Airways, Subversive History, Johnny, Lana, Marina. We got to stick together. Slubversive History, that's right. This is just to make it. I was complaining about being picked up by the Twitch algorithm. I saw people were getting put on the front page. This is exactly what's playing on the screen is the exact reason why the TRRS will never be given that mainstream slot. But I refuse to back down, even if it's bad personally for my own bottom line. An electable history museum. I'm getting all confused about the different subversive streamers out there. Getting very confused. Is that why everyone's view counts have tripled lately? I guess so. It certainly is. Can't speak for me. Can't say that any similar thing has happened over here. I'll tell you that much. This is purely a mustache appreciation stream. No politics here. That's right. Absolutely right. You know, I wonder if I can find. I don't know if I bookmarked this tweet. One thing that I wanted to talk about. I totally went way off course from anything that I planned on talking about today. We didn't end up doing any balloon content. Oh yeah, I mean these are the kind of things that people believe, right? And like in what world? Again, in a past generation, it was basically accepted that this would be a form of Holocaust denial or Holocaust revisionism, right? Anti-populist and anti-socialist progressive. I post memes in the correct political opinions. He says defending Stalin or Mao is just as bad as defending Hitler. Like that would have been correctly recognized as being Holocaust revisionism a couple generations ago. And now this is, I feel like, a reflection of what most people believe. Like the guy that was talking to me calling me a tanky anglophone or whatever. Being pro-Stalin should get you kicked out of any leftist space. Shout outs to that French Stalingrad parade. Seriously, yeah. Counterpoint. Social democracy is objectively the moderate wing of fascism. As a great man once said. A great man who shall not be named here. I was always told that Lenin picked Trotsky as his successor. Is that not true? I think that's certainly what Trotskyists say. I think that's kind of their whole viewpoint, is that after that point there was some perversion that happened of the true ideals, and that's when all the terrible hard times and the purges and all the terrible things started, you know? There's no shortage of water-carrying weirdos. No, there is not. I forget how anti-tanky our allies are until I go on Twitter, which is why I avoid Twitter. I saw the thing about there was like a Reddit thing where someone posted literally just a Star Wars meme of saying like they'll never find a bigger hub of a wretched hive of scum and villainy or whatever, and showing the Pentagon on like this very harmless subreddit, and people being like, "Woo, now do the Kremlin." You know, and people getting mad and saying it's tanky to suggest that the Pentagon is like the worst human rights abuser. The Pentagon is responsible for the most fucking misery and violence and imperialism and destabilization and coups and purges. Yeah, criticizing the U.S. empire. That's all you have. Those are my anti-imperialists. All it is America bad. Yeah, our anti-imperialists do spend time talking about history's number one imperialist power and current reality's exclusive and like completely unchallenged imperialist power in the world, the United States empire. Yes. If you're anti-imperialist, that's going to be the primary contradiction. Yes. That's the major imperialist country. So that's why if you're anti-imperialist, you do end up focusing on that. Yeah. Well, folks, what are we doing now? I got a couple more minutes left. Did folks see this? I was trying to, I'm trying to get back into posting TikToks. And I can officially break this now, that now this is my most viewed TikTok that I have done. Which gets into kind of references what we were just talking about. The scene from Ukraine, this crazy scene in which an angel appears in the sky over the conflict. Really remarkable footage. I don't think that was real. I'm a sensation. I'm a sensation over on TikTok for this. More duet TikToks. I think I can carve out a little niche for myself with some of those. I'm not against TikTok, but as a 40-year-old millennial, I figured I'd leave some stuff for the kids. There's some great socialist propaganda on TikTok. Kazakh Marxist does fucking amazing TikToks. Look at that, the man himself.
Almost 40% of Gen Z and millennials think the Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx, the father of Marxism, is a better defense of freedom and equality than the Declaration of Independence.
True.
Almost 40% of Gen Z.
On the scales or look into a crystal ball. I'm not like just other girls at all. I'm the perfect girl to make you forget that you gotta pay. Take to make you love me when the only thing you got is like. So on the scales or
The world would be brighter, calmer, and safer and calmer now if it were not for the U.S. No lies detected. No lies detected, folks. You know, it is something that I wanted to talk about as well. You saw that whole speech and the whole like condemnation of socialism in U.S. Congress. It's really to coincide with something that I was talking about yesterday in this like balloon coverage, this endless balloon coverage. I think it's fun to joke about. It's also like kind of alarming, some of this stuff, the freak out of the balloon. Or the new Cold War, the new Red Scare, whatever you want to call it, which we're only in the very beginning stages of, which is probably going to get a lot more scary as we move into the next decade. But really, I think a lot of this indicates the way that how paranoid the Western ruling class are of like the return of socialism and any kind of a challenge to their global power. I think they are extremely paranoid, and this balloon coverage is an example of it. This absolute paranoid, delusional freakout about a weather balloon. It really shows these are not a confident people, right? These are not this is not a confident ruling class that's confident and secure with their place in the world. They're paranoid at losing what they have, what they've fought and killed for over the generations. They're paranoid about socialism, winning that ultimate battle, winning that ultimate conflict. And all this stuff is examples of it. This new Red Scare, this preposterous thing in the U.S. Congress to, denounce socialism, denounce the horrors of socialism, the victims of communism memorial that we're building, all this stuff. Like all this new Red Scare that we're getting into just shows how like precarious these people's power actually is and how terrified they are. Isn't the freak out bad faith? I figure it was all an op to stoke China fears globally. I do think they're scared though. I guess it depends on who, Matt. I think some people are doing an op, but some people are just legitimately fucking paranoid and delusional and, freaking out about it. Even if a lot of the coverage was disingenuous. Yeah, for sure. They've lost giving China all the U.S. productive forces. Yeah, well, I think that's why, Dakadoon, that we do uphold some of this stuff. We do talk about Deng Xiaoping as being an important socialist on this channel. That's not an attitude that's widely reflected all over the place either. That's very controversial also. Even people that do continue to uphold Stalin and Mao, they draw the line there. And that's why they don't support China now, because they don't claim that they're doing socialism. But as we always go back to, and we ever have that discussion, I mean, you can see that was like the winning stroke, like in a way. It's like that was the winning chess move that we're just seeing pay off like 30 years later, right? That opening up of the economy and basically getting the American capitalist class to believe that China was on board with their sort of global project, being like a subservient country to their hegemony. That was the chess move. That was the checkmate move that the checkmate still hasn't even happened yet, but that was the move. not a Deng fan, but results are results. I mean, it was one of the thing that another thing I was thinking about Admiral Praxis. There's like Maoists, right, that talk about Deng as being a counter-revolutionary, or Deng destroying what Mao built, or destroying Chinese socialism, or what have you. And like, I don't want to speak for any famous dead guy or anybody, but I can't kind of escape the notion that if you were able to take Mao from the 70s and just drop him into 2023 and get him to take a look at what was happening in China and what was happening geopolitically and with China's role in the world and the Belt and Road Initiative and all this stuff, and take a look at the development that's happened in China, I just really have a strong feeling that Mao would be like, all right, this is pretty good. You know what I mean? Maybe this isn't exactly what I had in mind, or maybe there's been mistakes, or they've gone down paths that I don't agree with, but like, this is pretty good though, It's not that bad. I just genuinely believe that that's probably what the attitude would be of Mao, despite all these Western Maoists that uphold Mao and use Mao as a wedge to not support, this burgeoning kind of socialist country that's kind of competing with the U.S. in terms of this in the geopolitical arena. They use Mao as a way to not support that. But I kind of feel like Mao would be like, you know what, this is pretty good. Mao, primary contradiction is class struggle. Deng, the primary contradiction is industrial underdevelopment. Jinping, primary contradiction equals uneven development, result in modern China. Also, Xi's commitment to corruption as well. It's another something else that I wanted to take a look at. Did I just close my window? I don't think so. I did have something else on this. About the development, about that's been such a central part of China's socialist project. This clip is really interesting.
Is in a state of absolute decay. The whole Western financial system is in a state of absolute decay and collapse. What is maintaining their power, their myth that they can still act as if they're the gods of Olympus who can simply declare that we say you must do such and such, you must obey like the gods of Olympus. Well, it's this idea that we're the only superpower simply is not true anymore. And they know it. They know that China has emerged. China proved internally that the American system of Hamiltonian economics, of directing credit from the federal government into the infrastructure needed to lift the platform of the production, worked. We did it with Hamiltonian economics. This is what Justin Lin told us. Now, this was the man who was the chief economist at the World Bank from 2008 to 2012. Highly respected in the Western world. He was senior vice president at the World Bank. And what did he learn in those 4 years? He learned that the World Bank and the IMF were not in the least bit interested in developing infrastructure anyway. This wasn't appropriate for the wogs, for the lesser races, some might say, more overtly. At their level of development, we shouldn't be doing boondoggles like railroads and ports and power plants. We'll help them with their health and education, and we'll help the small farmer with a 1 hectare farm. We'll help him get his crop to market because we're benevolent. We believe in helping people. But for God's sake, let's not waste money on boondoggles like infrastructure. And Justin Lin realized that was the policy of the Western financial institutions, and he went back to China and became a lead economist there, working on the Belt and Road to do quite the opposite, to build infrastructure. Infrastructure is the basis on which you lift the productive platform for every person in your nation, and you break through the boundaries that prevent industrialization and modernization. So this is what is hated. This is what is despised by the City of London and Wall Street and the neocons and the military-industrial complex. Heaven forbid that Russia and China should come together and undermine our control of the third world.
I saw that today. Very interesting. It's from this.
The whole Western...
It's about Justin Lin, but it's from this talk here. Although from a LaRouche organization, so we're not going to link that. I think it's an interesting look at the way their economy was built, but we don't need to go down the LaRouche rabbit hole to, I think, talk about it. I did think that clip was really interesting, though. I wondered when he said City of London, yeah. Let's take the kernels of truth in there and hold on to those and discard the LaRoucheite cultist nonsense. It's very annoying that these are the people saying this. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the central problems, right? Is that the argument has been completely abandoned. So you only hear this argument in these contexts because social democrats and anarchists and Maoists, Western Maoists, are not talking about this and refusing them to give any credit to them. They just came from another 2D triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward system stream. I don't think that's possible, though, G Clubby, because as we all know, this is the only such stream on this entire program. As I was saying earlier, a solid example is comparing the progress in 70 years between China and India up to today. This is what Vijay says as well, right? He said it in a conversation with me as well. Where one is with a socialist one-party political system and long-term vision, and the other is electoral system influenced, controlled by capitalists in short-term development vision. Absolutely. Like, it's as clear as day when you hold these two systems, these very similar kind of starting points, and look at the development that's happened in one place versus the other, and where you would rather be born poor. You know? And they do like to erase that context as well. Yes. Folks, I gotta go soon. I gotta go pick up my kid from school. Just a few generous chatters could bring me out of the basement, you know? Surely you don't want me to leave like this. In this condition. I don't want to guilt and shame you too much. I told people I didn't want to, make such a big deal about that. I usually try to avoid that.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Oh my goodness, Iron Forward, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Iron Forward, very much appreciated. Saving me from humiliation. Saving me from total humiliation yet again. Thank you, Iron Forward. You got to build the excitement, NHL 95 style. I just can't do that every day. I can't. I just cannot do it every day. It just takes so much out of me to do those segments or the dancing and stuff. I know people enjoy that. People enjoy seeing me humiliate myself like that, and they take pity on me. I just can't always do it, though. I really can't. I must once again insist that no one should fall down a LaRouche hole just because they might make the right noises sometimes. They're deeply reactionary opportunists. That's right, Lana, and that's exactly why I think it's important to carve out communities like this one where we don't go down those reactionary paths, but we do have the correct analysis, right? And the correct dialectical understanding of history and global affairs. Would you eat Jesus' placenta in order to bring it back to life? I'm going to say no. No. Do not believe so. We have any other takers, folks?
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old
a
Rob
small
to
number
talk you through all
of
this.
generous chatters could, in theory, get us ever so slightly to the old sub goal today. Thank you, Progressive Canuck, for the gifted sub. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Like, I know that it's unrealistic to expect to fill the sub goal every single day. Ideally, though, getting a little bit closer. Very bad vibes from Zoop. Coming in here, asking all kinds of historical hypotheticals about placenta eating. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's someone that we want in the community. You know? We won't miss you, my friend. That's right. Bad energy from that character. Join the Discord server as well, folks, if you're not in there as well. Someone tells you the revolution is over and the bum's lost. My advice to you is to do what your parents did. Get a job, sir. And as Chase said, we're motivated not by hate, but for love of all humanity. Exactly, that's right. We are. And we shouldn't be ashamed of that. We're not going to be ashamed of it.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Mikey1545, thank you. Thank you for the gifted sub. Very, very kind of you. I really appreciate that. And you know what? I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you who tuned in today and other days that I do the stream. All humanity. Well, I think the reason we need to purge reactionary thought from our communities and societies is because we care about all humanity. Unfortunately, there are people that are upholding the current horrific system, either people that are benefiting from it or people that have been so brainwashed that they think they need to defend it with their lives. You know, that's a problem that we're going to have to confront, but our motivation is to better everybody.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Gen X Bushy, you always come through right at the very end of the stream. Jeez, Gen X Bushy, thank you so much. Always at the last moment. Gen X Bushy rolls through and really helps out the stream. Just got out of a meeting and saw your sub count. Gen X Bushy, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Jesus. M. Leash, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Oh boy. People are really bailing me out here. I'm glad people enjoyed the discussion today. Just converting our dollars into Rob bucks, which are far more valuable. That's right. You buy the dip on Rob coin. The community really coming together to save this thing at the very end. It is much appreciated. It is really much appreciated, folks. And I'm simply saying, and I don't want to tell people what to do.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh my goodness. Nace0, thanks for the 3 gifted subs. first 3 gifted subs in the channel. Nace0, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I was just going to say that one of our extremely generous 10 sub gifters could push us over the line and trigger the brand new alert and VJ Prashad sound drop. Even though now that's not even necessary. Now that's not even necessary. But it's something that's worth mentioning. It's worth mentioning. You know, folks, I really appreciate people that support this show. I know I say that a lot. It's true, though. I do, like I talk about with some of the political stances that we take on this program. That's not how taking these stances are not how you rise to the top of the Twitch streamer universe. And it's not how you find yourself trending on Twitter day after day. That's by saying dumbass, controversial bullshit and engaging in the debate bullshit and the drama and all that stuff that I just can't stand and that I will never, ever fucking engage in. And of course, I have a perspective that is not exactly like tolerated in either our mainstream media or it doesn't get promoted here on Twitch. So the people that are able to support this stream, I can't tell you how much I do appreciate it because it allows me to continue doing this content, which I really couldn't do. I just, without the people that support this channel and support this stream, I just simply would not be able to do it. It wouldn't exist. So I really appreciate it a lot. It's really very cool. Yeah, we do. We're going to have weird Substack chat for the State of the Union as well. We're rating Duck. We are 3% of the way to the next step in this hype train as well. I don't want to, I don't want to alarm anyone. We are going to raid Doc in 1 minute's time. We are still in a hype train right now. I raid Doc now because I got to leave, but we could get 3% of the way as nothing. That's like one more gifted sub. And then everyone gets different emotes, different cool emotes. That's barely anything at all.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through
Norm
all this.
Can't Shoot, thank you. Norm Can't Shoot, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that, Norm. It's like in Cheers. Norm! Remember? When he walks in? R.I.P. to the balloon. Miss that damn balloon. Thank you, Norm. Thank you from our friend Stalinist Babushka. See everybody tomorrow. Good night and good luck.